Part 92. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 911. The bundle contains several unframed silk paintings, some of which were mounted and then removed, some with fine brushwork and some with ink. The two bundles contained a total of 7 paintings, folded neatly, and wrapped in fine silk. The outside was wrapped in oil paper and silk bags. Guancheng looked at each one carefully, shook his head and said, "I don't remember." Feng Qingxiu followed and took a look. They were all authentic works by ancient famous artists, and they were famous ones. Each one of them could be called Taishan Baidu in the world of calligraphy and painting. There are really very few works that have been passed down to this day. There are even Songhuit Song, a painting of flowers and birds. A few decades later, any piece sent to auction can fetch a hammer price of hundreds of millions. There was a seal about the Kong left in the blank space of one of the paintings. It was a mark left after appreciation. Lu Zhang pointed to the seal and said to Guancheng, "This was left by your grandfather. Is it something from your Guan family? We can't be sure now. Let your aunt keep these paintings in her mind, and ask Aunt Sue if she has a chance another day. Aunt Sue is the aunt of the Guan family. She has some impression of the famous paintings that the Guan family collected before he got married." Guancheng hummed, "Only my aunt will know." Another small wooden box is filled with gold, diamonds, and jade. They are all relatively old jewelry. They are wrapped in soft cotton cloth to separate the collisions between them. They are really valuable. Guancheng shook his head after reading it, saying that he didn't know their origin. Feng Qingxiu wrapped the silk paintings again and closed the wooden box. If their true owners can be found, they will be returned to the original owners. If they cannot be found, these things will be given to you and Au in the future as your help to revitalize the Guan family. Capital. She felt that some of these things should be related to the home. It was possible that they were all, but there was also a possibility that they were not. The most likely possibility was that, as she had said before, someone who was responsible for searching the house was fishing in troubled waters to enrich his own pockets and confiscating money from other people's homes. He kept the good things for himself and hid them in the secret compartment of his canopy bed. As a result, his house was ransacked more than 10 years later. After hearing Feng Qingxiu's explanation, Guancheng waved his hands hastily, "No, no, Aunt, Au and I can't afford it." The Lu family took in, raised and educated him and his younger brother, which was a huge kindness to them. How could they ask Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu to take the risk of getting something from the scrap collection station? Even if it once belonged to the Guan family, he was not qualified to accept it. "What can't you take on? Aren't you and Au the children of our family? Although Zibao and Fuebao are our biological children, there is no difference between you and them. The only difference is that you are older now. We don't have to worry about everything. When you get married and start a business, your uncle and I will take care of it. Besides you, there are also Tianjun and Tianzi. The things belonging to the Guan family belong to the Guan family. The calligraphy, painting, and seals all complement the Guan family. No, we leave our reasons to ourselves." Feng Qingxiu finished speaking in one breath and patted the table. "That's it, it's settled. Your uncle and I are better at hiding things. I'll help you keep them first. When the weather calms down, I will hand them over to you. After all, our family still has a bit of a dramatic danger." Guancheng opened his mouth, but Lu Zhang cut him off and said, "Just listen to your aunt. Although the things in front of them are valuable, and the silk paintings are even more exquisite, unique, and exquisite, they do not belong to the Lu family. They have no idea of keeping them as their own. Returning them to their original owners is the best solution." Guancheng just wanted to accept the seal, but he knew that it would be useless to talk more, so he stood up and bowed deeply to Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 912. Although they didn't sleep well all night, Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu got up early the next morning to cook. Feng Qingxiu was thinking about the scraps in the scrap collection station that she had not taken away in time, and also wanted to know whether the things in the secret compartments belonged to the Guan family, so she kneaded the dough while talking to Lu Zhang. She was making scallion pancakes, so Lu Zhang went to his own plot and pulled out a large handful of scallions, pinched the roots, peeled them, washed them and chopped them into small pieces. Listening to her nagging voice, Lu Zhang not only did not feel bored, but found it very pleasant. He listened to her endlessly and kneaded the dough 1,000 times. He couldn't help but smile. Normal heart, if you have a chance. Just take it back, no need to worry about it, isn't that what you said? At least we saved part of it. Feng Qingxiu's response was to stick out her tongue and make a face at him. This man really can't let her nag. Doesn't he know that nagging is part of women's nature? There was only a little bit of peanut oil left in the oil can. Feng Qingxiu looked around and took out a can of lard from the space. At this moment, she was secretly glad that she had boiled lard when she had time in the past and saved it in the space. Quite a few, ready to go. She made 2 types of noodles, one white and one thick. The children eat white flour scallion pancakes, while the adults eat black flour pancakes, and they don't look conspicuous when given to the old man in the cowshed. Just after baking the black bread, Zibao put on his clothes and shoes, rubbed his eyes and came over. Dad. Mom. Where have you been? I can't find you. I'm crying, but I'm sad. Oh, are you crying? Why did I hear that you only thundered but didn't rain? Feng Qingxiu was not fooled. Zibao chuckled, not feeling embarrassed at all. He looked at the pancakes in the basket and his eyes lit up. Mom, scallion pancakes, your big baby really likes them. Feng Qingxiu took a stack of 10 scallion pancakes, wrapped them in gauze, put them into a small backpack, and then hung the small basket behind her son's shoulders. Son, I give you a great task. Zibao immediately saluted with a military salute and said, please let the leader speak. His body was crisp and energetic, and his body and military etiquette were no different from those of soldiers in the army. Feng Qingxiu pursed her lips and said, go to the cowshed and ask Grandpa to come back for dinner, and then share the pancakes in the basket with the other grandparents, 1 pancake for each person, remember, 1 pancake for each person. Promise to complete the mission. Zibao ran to the cowshed and saw Ansu and Wenyu cooking. He quickly said with a big smile on his face, Grandma, don't be busy. Mom asked me to deliver pancakes, delicious scallion pancakes, it's so delicious. Ansu was stunned, then reached into her backpack and took out the scallion pancake wrapped in gauze. It was still hot, with the aroma of lard hitting her nostrils. 11 bao is so good. Did Mom ask you to bring it to her? Zibao nodded his head, 1 for each person, remember, 1 for each person. I'm looking for Grandpa to eat. Grandpa. Carrying an empty small basket on his back, he rushed into the house screaming. Father Lu was knocked back a few steps and put his arms around him, with a smile on his face. Okay, Grandpa will go to your family for dinner. Come on, say hello to the grandpas in the house. Hello Grandpa, Zibao did not forget to bow. He was playing in the cowshed from yesterday afternoon to evening, calling his grandparents one after another. The elderly are all very familiar with him. Anyone who sees such a cute-looking child with a sweet mouth will not feel uncomfortable. Like. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 913. For this little disciple, When Ruya made no secret of her love and pretended to be displeased, Xiao Zibao, we are all grandpas. Why do you only call your grandpas for dinner and not us grandpas? You are so unfair. I very sad. I'm fine, Zibao blinked his big eyes and pointed at Aunt Sue who came in. I've delivered food, delicious cakes. When Ruya was stunned, and Aunt Sue laughed. Brother Wen, our Zibao is very smart and cannot be deceived. Now, Zibao gave one of the scallion pancakes made by Zioxiu to each of us. We quickly ate them while they were hot and then drank the wild vegetable soup that Wen you and I cooked. You don't have to go out and burp to make people smell lard. Father Lu took the opportunity to take his grandson away without speaking to these old men. The diet of everyone in the cowshed was really bad. It was either wild vegetable soup or rice porridge with dried sweet potatoes and corn crumbs. It gave them stomachaches. Jinruoka couldn't wait to take a piece of scallion pancake from Aunt Sue's hand. The round scallion pancake was rolled up and held in his hand. He opened his mouth and took a big mouthful. It's delicious. Zioxiu's craftsmanship is really good. The other hand patted his belly and said, Old man, you are rich again today. Everyone laughed, took the scallion pancakes handed over by Aunt Sue, and started eating them one after another, applauding as they ate. The weather was particularly good today and there was plenty of sunshine. Wang Zhenqiu did not arrange for them to go to work. Instead, he called a dozen strong laborers to help dig bricks and prepare to build a row of thatched houses for these old people who were sent down to the countryside. The cowshed is a stable building and must be used to house the animals in the brigade. Their presence cannot affect the lives of the animals. This is said in name, but which of the old people present is not a smart person? Wang Zhenqiu probably considered that the weather was getting hotter and hotter, it was inconvenient for them to live in a cowshed, and the smell emitted by a group of animals was not good, so he used this name to choose a piece of land south of Lu Jiang's house and build a few houses. Come out. These old people work for themselves and do not receive work points. The strong laborers who come to help will be credited with 10 work points each. They do not care about food. There are many strong laborers who are willing to come over. Lu Jiang came over to help after dinner. He was very strong and could beat adobe very well. The old people who were decentralized thought that Wang Zhenqiu was doing it for their own good, but Lu Jiang knew that Wang Zhenqiu was doing it for Lu's father. How deep is their friendship as classmates? Father Lu refused to leave the bullpen, so of course Wang Zhenqiu had to find a way. Living alone in the cowshed is relaxing and comfortable. 10 people are not too crowded. Aunt Sue and Wen Yu dug wild vegetables and came back to cook. They were preparing to wash the dried sweet potatoes that had been soaked for a long time. Feng Qingxiu secretly sent some brown rice over. We are doing physical work today, how can we just eat wild vegetable soup? Steaming it, rice. Why are you so embarrassed? You asked Zibao to give you scallion pancakes this morning. When Yu's face was a little red, she deserved it. Feng Qingxiu handed the rice bag to Aunt Sue and said nonchalantly, it's not delivered every day, what's the point of being embarrassed? I can't let my teacher starve. This adobe has to be dried thoroughly in the sun. You can continue to build a house. You don't have to do such heavy physical work tomorrow, and I won't send you rice for cooking. Aunt Sue was not polite, and while washing rice, she said, let Ajiang eat here at noon. Okay, I'll cook 2 more dishes and deliver them over later. Feng Qingxiu also wanted her husband to establish a good relationship with these elderly people. In 10 years, they will all have strong connections. It would be a fool not to seize the opportunity. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 914. Lu Jiang was busy working, and the children were taken care of. Feng Qingxiu was thinking about the scraps that the scrap collection station had not had time to pick, so she acted ugly again, rode her bicycle and strolled into the scrap station. Uncle Li made great achievements after handing in the gold bars. When he saw Feng Qingxiu, he was very enthusiastic and thought she was a lucky star. Last time it was 20 yuan, yesterday it was just a few gold bars, worth 800 yuan in total. The few textbooks I brought back yesterday are not enough for the children to scribble on, so I came over today to pick out a few more. Feng Qingxiu said to Uncle Li she didn't drive a mule cart here, so she couldn't pick out the particularly heavy ones. Scrap. Uncle Li pointed at the pile of waste paper, which was much taller than yesterday. You can go find it yourself. Several carts were pulled over today. Is there a new one? Really? I'll go take a look. Go, go, some are copied from other people, some are brought from the school, and some are from the cultural relics department. The group of students who brought the things all held their heads high, but their words were unclear, and I didn't either. Ask carefully. Feng Qingxiu's eyes were shining, and a square scarf was used as a mask around half of her face, and she dived into the pile of waste paper. Valuable ancient books, calligraphy, and paintings are actually a drop in the bucket compared to piles of waste paper. No one will notice when they disappear. This is the key to Feng Qingxiu fishing in troubled waters. In half an hour, she was asked to collect 7 or 8 ancient books and 4 or 5 calligraphy and paintings. Most of the newly added waste paper is textbooks or book collections, but not many of them are valuable. So, Feng Qingxiu turned to the other side, where there were things that she didn't have time to pick out yesterday, and she had to dig through them carefully today. Every time she found something good, she would look around and then put it into the space. No, she found another more valuable painting, and it was also the work of her teacher Wen Ruyu. It was a meticulous painting of a lady. Although it was covered with dust and had some signs of damage, it amazed her. Just as he was about to roll up and see if anyone around him noticed him, a big hand stretched out from beside him. Seeing the hand trying to take away the painting in her hand, Feng Qingxiu quickly dodged it, stood up, and looked at the owner of the big hand. She often participated in training in the army, and with the skills she had practiced before and taught by Lu Zhang, it can be said to be very agile. What do you want to do? Feng Qingxiu said fiercely to the little old man opposite. The little old man's clothes were dirty and torn, his face was wrinkled, he was short and thin, and his temperament looked very clean. His eyes were fixed on the painting in Feng Qingxiu's hand. Little sister, please give me this painting. Give it to you. Why? Feng Qingxiu rolled up the painting and held it tightly in her hands. The little old man said sternly, this painting has extremely high artistic value and cannot be taken to a paper mill to be beaten into pulp. It is useless for you young people to hold it. If it is discovered, it will cause trouble. Give it to me. I will ask Xiao Li to buy it. Feng Qingxiu was stunned. Is the old man in front of him a member of the same religion? Not even for people of the same mind. This is Wen Ruyu's work, and its meaning is completely different. Everything is about first come, first served. I saw it first and I am willing to pay for it. You can't argue with me. Feng Qingxiu refused to give in. You have time to argue with me here, so why not go dig through the waste paper, see if there are any other paintings. This painting is very important to me. I am planning to put it in my textbook and buy it back. You are not allowed to tell anyone. After hearing this, the little old man couldn't help but look at Feng Qingxiu for a moment, then hesitantly said, You. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 915. Uncle Li seemed to have discovered the dispute between them and ran over quickly. Girl, he is Comrade Huang Qingbei of the Municipal Cultural Relics Bureau, or the Deputy Director. He often comes to my place to look through and pick things up. He is not a bad person, but he bought a lot of waste paper and took it away. He said it was a national cultural heritage. That's what he said about the old man. My salary, I guess, is all contributed to the scrap station. I haven't been here for a while, Comrade Huang. Deputy Director of the Cultural Relics Bureau? Feng Qingxiu looked at the little old man in surprise. Huang Qingbei sighed and said, a large number of cultural relics from the Cultural Relics Bureau were handed over to the country for export in exchange for foreign exchange. I was so distressed that I didn't eat or sleep well for days and nights. How could I have the strength to come here? I finally regained my energy. Come and take a look, but as soon as we got here, this girl started grabbing paintings from me. Hey, old man, you must respect the facts when you speak. I got the painting first, okay, Feng Qingxiu said unhappily, and explained to Uncle Li, by the way, our house is an adobe house, and the walls are full of holes. It didn't look good, so I wanted to find some old newspapers and paintings to paste on the wall to prevent dirt from falling into the children's eyes and mouths while sleeping. Huang Qingbei was so angry that he was shaking all over. His index finger pointed in the direction of Feng Qingxiu. The back of his hand was covered with veins. Do you know whose work this painting is? Do you know how high its artistic value is? You actually used it to plaster the wall. This old man is so angry. Feng Qingxiu made a face at him. You are standing here, you still have the energy to argue with me. Uncle Li hurriedly smiled and said, Comrade Huang, just look at other things. There is a lot of waste paper there. There are many books, calligraphy, and paintings from the old culture in it. In a few days, they will be sent to the city's scrap station or directly we're at the paper factory. You can secretly choose a few paintings and buy them. I won't report them. This kid is a nice guy. He finally wants to pick a painting to take home and put on the wall. Don't fight. Huang Qingbei turned around and pointed at Uncle Li. You are rotten wood that cannot be carved. Yes, I don't understand the artistic value you are talking about, but how can there be any artistic value now? Aren't they all old culture and old ideas that should be eradicated? Fortunately, you met me. If I met others, I would have to treat you can't sue. Huang Qingbei shook his torn sleeves angrily, and just like Feng Qingxiu before, he dove into the pile of waste paper. Feng Qingxiu stuck out her tongue at Uncle Li, this old man. Okay, don't disturb anyone. If you want to choose a painting, put it in the textbook you can take out. I will turn a blind eye and weigh you, although I don't understand why he doesn't do it for a while. There were people coming to the scrap station to pick up the things sent after the house was ransacked, but Uncle Li was not a fool. As long as it did not delay his work, they all paid and kept silent. Feng Qingxiu never expected to hear Uncle Li's words. It was an unexpected surprise. Although it was impossible to take away all the cultural relics, calligraphy, and paintings that she picked in textbooks and newspapers, it was indeed much more convenient than before. She was squatting here, and Huang Qingbei was over there. The two of them ignored each other and focused on finding their own goals. Because Huang Qingbei was there, Feng Qingxiu couldn't hide the selected cultural relics, calligraphy, and paintings in the space. She couldn't help but feel a little frustrated. She suddenly remembered that Huang Qingbei had a capital accent, so she casually said, Old sir, your name is Huang Qingbei, are you related to Huang Qinghong? Huang Qingbei suddenly raised his head, do you know Huang Qinghong? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 916. Feng Qingxiu was startled and rolled her eyes. Her cleverness was exactly the same as Zibao's. I lived in the capital for a while and heard the name Huang Qinghong. Later, I met him once again. I thought the name was very similar to yours, so I asked about it. He is red and you are white, so they form the same generation as Cheng. Don't you feel like a family, just making things up casually? My name is Huang Qingbei. The cypress in the pines and cypresses means longevity. It means longevity. It is not black and white. You little eldest sister, don't change my name casually. Huang Qingbei corrected Feng Qingxiu's mistake seriously, and then said, Huang Qinghong is my old cousin. The red is the red of red beans, not the red of red, yellow, blue, and green. Feng Qingxiu exclaimed, I'm sorry, I was deaf and heard wrongly. In fact, it was not that she heard wrongly, but that Uncle Li spoke a local dialect and his pronunciation was not accurate enough, so he misunderstood by as by. Huang Qingbei held a painting he pulled out from a pile of waste paper, squatted and took 2 steps towards Feng Qingxiu. Do you know my brother? Do you know where he is? I received a letter from my hometown a while ago. He said he asked a group of students to take him away, and his children drew a clear line with him. My sister-in-law was furious, and I still haven't heard from him at home. Feng Qingxiu thought for a moment and did not tell the truth. If I have any news, I will tell you. You are a staff member of the Municipal Cultural Relics Bureau. Do you live in the city? I should be able to find it. Then I'll trouble you. Huang Qingbei sighed and looked at the painting in his hand. I don't know what's going on in this world. Good cultural heritage has become a cancer. It was good in the past few years. At least the things from the Cultural Heritage Bureau can be preserved. But it has been unlucky since last year. Wave after wave, several cultural relics and historic sites in the city have been smashed cleanly. Cultural relics are going abroad in batches and entering factories in batches. My old man's heart felt like it had been cut off. I just thought that while I could still move and still have 2 wages, I could save some cultural losses for the country. Feng Qingxiu was very moved. Our Chinese people have always had strong resilience. No matter what era they are in, they always live tenaciously. There are always a group of ancestors who are dedicated to the country and do not hesitate to sacrifice everything. She remembered that decades later, many of the museum's collections were obtained from scrapyards by staff at that time. In other words, there are many people like Huang Qingbei who are working hard for the country's cultural heritage. Of course, there are also a group of people who take advantage of the situation and buy cultural relics that are sold at low prices, and then sell them abroad at high prices as their first pot of gold, and then become rich. Although I admire you very much, old man, this painting means a lot to me and I can't give it to you, Feng Qingxiu said. As long as it's not really plastered against the wall, you can take it away. Master Wen's words are unique and of great artistic value. Keep them in your collection and take them out after the limelight has passed. Hearing these words of great significance, Huang Qingbei knew that Feng Qingxiu would not ruin the painting. He had said this deliberately in front of Uncle Li before. Feng Qingxiu felt relieved and her tone became much softer. Old sir, you work in the Cultural Relics Bureau, and you often go to the scrapyard to pick up things. No one reports you. Feng Qingxiu has space at her disposal and is extremely cautious in everything she does. It's rare to see someone like Huang Qingbei. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 917. Yes, but my old man took it back. Didn't I get these things to hand over to the country for export in exchange for foreign exchange? Huang Qingbei said confidently, and then lowered his voice. Since the cultural relics were sent to the Trade Department for export, I have only rescued some of them. If they don't send it out, I won't dare to hand over the things I picked up, and sometimes I'll collect some fake antiques to fool those bastards who don't understand. Huang Qingbei's eyes were full of helplessness and anger, which almost turned into reality. Our country's cultural heritage was robbed by Western powers in the past, but now it is sent away by our own people. It has fallen into the hands of foreigners. What is left of the country? Culture, culture, our descendants should take the best of it. Get rid of the dross and preserve the relics of our ancestors, but somehow, the essence and dross have become old culture and need to be destroyed. Feng Qingxiu comforted, it will pass eventually. As you said, the country will attach importance to cultural heritage. Isn't the Palace Museum preserved in this turmoil? You should be glad that it was not completely destroyed. By the time we pay attention to it, it's already too late. These cultural heritages are non-renewable. If they are destroyed, they will really be gone. Who says it's not the case? But we can only try our best to save it now. Huang Qingbei was stunned, then reached out and patted Feng Qingxiu on the shoulder, not caring about the 2 black slap marks he left on her clothes. Good boy, there are not many children as courageous as you. Seeing you, and I am a member of the same profession, and my old man is very happy. I have no money, so I can only watch many cultural relics and antiques enter the factory. Feng Qingxiu's heart moved. She wanted to say that she had money and gold, but she didn't have the means to buy a large number of cultural relics and antiques. But after thinking about it, she decided to forget it. She didn't want to take risks and harm her family. Huang Qingbei was very proud, so Feng Qingxiu took advantage of the situation and weighed and brought out 10 or 20 pieces of books, calligraphy, and paintings among the newspapers and textbooks. As soon as she left the scrapyard, she was faced with Lu Jiang's black face. Feng Qingxiu felt guilty, so she turned around and ran away. Lu Jiang was tall and had long legs. He caught up with her in a few steps and caught her with fire in his eyes. Try running again. Feng Qingxiu retracted her step foot, swallowed her saliva, and said with a silly smile, Jiang, are you here? Have you finished laying the adobe? I rode my bicycle here, how did you get here? She looked behind Lu Jiang and saw that there was no means of transportation. Seeing his wife's painted face and blinking her big watery eyes, Lu Jiang's anger suddenly disappeared, and he said helplessly, next time you come, I will accompany you. You are alone. I am very worried. Look what time it is now. It's getting dark halfway when you set out to go home. Doesn't that scare me? I'm sorry, Jiang, Feng Qingxiu admitted her mistake obediently. Before marriage, she was used to going out alone. After marriage, she took her children back and forth between the capital, home, and the army. Moreover, she was an adult and her skills were not weak, so she became bolder. However, she did not expect that she was still in Lu Jiang's heart. She is a weak woman. It's my fault for making him worry. Lu Jiang took the bundled textbooks, newspapers, calligraphy, and painting. Stop talking, let's go back. Wait, Feng Qingxiu grabbed him, go to the grocery store and see if you can still buy some pig meat. Unable to resist his wife, Lu Jiang tied the things to his bicycle, went in empty-handed, and came out empty-handed. No more, I asked the state-owned hotel to get it. A bunch of students are clamoring for meat. If there is no meat, the hotel doesn't want to entertain them properly. Feng Qingxiu was a little disappointed. If it doesn't happen, then it won't happen. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 918. There was no one around after leaving the city. Sitting sideways on the back seat of the bicycle, Feng Qingxiu stretched out her arms to hug Lu Jiang's waist. Jiang, guess what good stuff I found today? Lu Jiang said while pedaling his bicycle, there are all kinds of things in the scrapyard. You must have gained a lot this time. You asked me to guess, but I can't guess. Did you find many valuable cultural relics, calligraphy, and paintings? Yes, there are quite a few. I estimate that there are 20 or 30 pieces that are particularly valuable. Thinking about how many cultural relics, calligraphy, and paintings in our county are about to be destroyed, it is completely conceivable that all the cultural relics, calligraphy, and paintings in the city and even the country will be destroyed. How huge the ruined cultural heritage is, Feng Qingxiu sighed. I don't regret my plundering at the scrapyard today, avoiding that little old man Huang Qingbei. Son, I just couldn't avoid him when I was choosing calligraphy and painting. Who is Huang Qingbei? Is he related to Mr. Huang Qinghong? Lu Zhang asked. I asked him that when I heard his name, and it turns out that they are cousins and have a good relationship. Feng Qingxiu is still a little surprised. I heard him say that Mr. Huang Qinghong is an ancient culture researcher at the Capital Cultural Relics Department. It seems that the expert had a conflict with the students who were smashing and burning the cultural relics, so he was labeled as sabotaging the revolution, and for reasons such as destroying the old culture, he was in trouble and disappeared. However, I was nowhere to be found. I didn't tell him that Mr. Huang is in our brigade. Lu Zhang nodded. Mr. Huang Qinghong should decide whether to tell or not. I think so too. From what Mr. Huang Qingbei said, it seems that Mr. Huang Qinghong's children have drawn a clear line with him. How pitiful. Feng Qingxiu couldn't help but sigh again, and then she was shaken and said, "Today I found a painting of a beautiful lady by my teacher, and I realized that I am as good as a baby when I saw the calligraphy and painting that we saved." Lu Zhang smiled and said, "You are still young and have just started. I believe you will definitely become a master of calligraphy and painting in the future. Wife, when the situation calms down and traditional culture can be released, your works will be hung in our home and everyone will praise you. Who doesn't like to hear good things?" Feng Qingxiu was no exception. She smiled with crooked eyebrows and bright eyes. "You said you would accompany me next time, don't forget it." After meeting Huang Qingbei, Feng Qingxiu became more determined to use the convenience of space to save the cultural heritage that was about to disappear in the long river of history, just to have a clear conscience. Okay, don't forget, I'll go to the city tomorrow." "Really, so easy to talk to?" Feng Qingxiu couldn't believe it. Lu Zhang changed the topic and then said, "Go visit Uncle Cheng. If you have time, also meet Brother Anbang." After making the plan, they learned from Lu's father that Cheng's father and Cheng's mother had passed away one after another. Feng Qingxiu felt very sad when she thought of her elder's love for Zibao. The greatest pain in life is that we are separated from each other and never see each other again. Unexpectedly, before they set off, Chen Swiniang arrived as promised. They had to cancel today's plan and change it to tomorrow. Instead, they greeted Chen Swiniang and a little boy she brought with her. The little boy had a tiger-like head and a tiger-like brain. He looked like he was only about 3 or 4 years old. "My adopted son, Chen Swiniang introduced him. "You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 919. Chen Swiniang was determined not to get married, and now she saw that she had adopted a child. Feng Qingxiu didn't know what others thought, but she was very happy for Chen Swiniang, which meant she was lonely, so she immediately knelt down and talked to Chen Swiniang. She looked straight at her and said, "Hello Achi, this is our first time meeting you. Welcome to our home. You can call me Aunt Chue." It didn't matter that this was the case. After seeing Chen Kai's appearance, Feng Qingxiu was simply shocked. Chen Qi had thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a tiger-like head, but he was a little shy and shrank behind Chen Swiniang. Feng Qingxiu moved 2 steps forward, reached out and brushed the broken hair on his forehead, and saw an obvious small red mole. "This child is not like me at all, he is too timid." Chen Swiniang rubbed her son's head, lowered her head and said to him, "Achi, this is Aunt Chue, her name is the same as mother's with the character for snow. Did you see the little brother and sister in front of Aunt Chue? How about we play with the little brother and sister?" Chen Qi remained motionless, clutching Chen Swiniang's clothes tightly. "Mom," Zibao came over and looked at Chen Qi. He groaned and pointed at Chen Kai's face. Mom, Brother Lu Yi, Brother Lu Yi. Is it Brother Lu Yi? Brother?" Feng Qingxiu looked back at her son. "This is not an elder brother, but a younger brother." Brother, Zibao came forward and took Chen Kai's hand. Brother, I will take you to play with me. I have a sister, do you have one? Although he is older and not as plump and cute as he was when he was a child, when Zibao smiles, people can't help but feel a sense of closeness. Chen Qi actually replied, I don't have a sister. Then I'll give you half of my sister. Zibao held him with one hand and held Fubao with the other. Call me brother. Fubaojiao smiled softly and sweetly at Chen Qi, brother. The three children just went out to play hand in hand, which was so good that the adults were baffled. Feng Qingxiu stood up and greeted Chen Swiniang and poured her water. Sister Swiniang, when did you adopt the child? How did you adopt it? The last time we met you when we got off the bus, you didn't even mention it. Look at me, even I didn't even have time to prepare the meeting ceremony. We don't need the greeting gift. Chen Swiniang took a sip of water. Last winter, it snowed heavily. The snow was half a foot thick. There was nothing to do in the factory, so I went outside the city to enjoy the snow. I enjoy the snow every winter. I would go there. I like snow. I never expected to see this child on the way back. He was left in a ravine on the roadside. He was so cold that he was unconscious. His lips were purple. It could be said that he was dying. I took him out. I took him home, and when I woke up, I kept calling my mother. I couldn't find his family, and I didn't hear of anyone who had lost a child. I picked him up in the snow, and he was almost killed. If he freezes to death, I'll name him Chen Qi, because fire overcomes ice and snow. Sister has a kind heart, and she will definitely be rewarded in the future, Feng Qingxiu said. Chen Swiniang waved her hand. I never adopted him for repayment. But Zibao, why did Qi call him brother Lu Yi when he saw him? What's the secret here? Who is Lu Yi? Is it because he looks similar? I was just about to tell you, Sister Xuanyang, this child's status may be a bit unusual. Chen Swiniang was stunned. You said Qi had an extraordinary origin? Tell me, I'll listen. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 920. For a moment, Feng Qingxiu didn't know where to start. Speaking of which, she was able to recognize Chen Qi because she had been reading information about this era in the past year or two, especially the brief histories of modern figures, etc., and had a lot of the content deep in her mind, in order to use the prophet to avoid disaster. Just like that, she once saw a photo in the information about Lu Shui. In the photo, Lu Shui is holding a little boy about 2 years old. The boy has a small red mole on his forehead. The size and location of the small red mole are exactly the same as Chen Kai's. This boy is Lu Yi's younger brother and Lu Shui's grandson, named Han Yet. His surname is Han, who took his mother's surname. His father's name is Lu Zhenhua, and his mother's name is Han Bing. They are like-minded revolutionary partners. They came out of the war and served in the Southeast Military Region. They gave birth to 4 children in total, the eldest daughter Lu Ying, the eldest son Lu Heng, and the second son Lu Yi and his youngest son Han Yet. There is only one sentence about Han Yet, who disappeared when he was 2.5 years old, and his life and death are uncertain. In her previous life, Feng Qingxiu occasionally saw some information about the Lu family in media reports. The biggest news was that the Lu family spent decades looking for the child who disappeared when he was 2.5 years old. It was clearly stated that during the catastrophe, all walks of life were turbulent, and Lu Zhenhua was dismissed from his post for some reason. When the family was about to return to the capital, they found that their child was missing. Han Ye disappeared, and Ding Maifen, the nanny who had been with their family for 2 years, also disappeared. Finally, investigation revealed that it was Ding Maifen who carried Han Ye out and then disappeared into the vast crowd. Lu Yi went into business for this reason, just to have financial resources to support their search for Han Ye. Every time she mentioned this little brother, Lu Ying, who has become a famous female diplomat, couldn't help but burst into tears. She said that it was the little brother that her mother could not forget before she died. They hoped to find him in their lifetime to comfort their parents' spirits in heaven. In the vast sea of people, finding someone is like looking for a needle in a haystack. When Feng Qingxiu traveled through, the Lu family was still looking for Han Ye. Sister Xuanyang, this child looks very much like Lu Shui's grandson Lu Yi. His facial features are exactly the same. You can tell at a glance that there is a deep blood relationship between them. Feng Qingxiu couldn't tell what she knew. Just talk about the appearance of the two children. Chen Xuanyang frowned. It's not as if there are people in the world who look very similar to each other. It's not unreasonable. However, they look so similar. Zibao can call out Lu Yi's name when he sees them. You can imagine how similar they are. It's hard for me not to doubt their relationship. Feng Qingxiu couldn't use the red mole to prove the child's identity, because in the eyes of the world, she had never seen the photos of Lu Shui and Han Ye, and had no idea about Han Ye's existence. Otherwise, I will be with tomorrow. Zhang went to visit Comrade Cheng and the others, and called Lu Shui to ask if any of their children had been lost. Why are you talking? They are nice people. If you ask them if they have lost their children, it would be strange if they don't curse you to death. It will be thought that you are cursing them for losing their children, Chen Xuanyang said. Lu Zhang interjected, it's safer to ask. If someone really lost their child, they would be crazy. Chen Xuanyang thought for a moment, okay, you guys can contact me. Anyway, I don't know Marshal Lu's phone number. Thinking about it carefully, a Qi might be related to Marshal Lu's family, just like Zioxiu said. I picked up his phone number. At that time, there was a pendant made of bullets hanging around his neck, but his clothes were very thin. If I saw him a few minutes later, he would be dead. It's the end of the month, why do you keep your monthly pass? Quick cast. Thank you for your reward yesterday.